Hello, and welcome to another podcast. I hope you guys are having a blast of a day in this amazing simulation that we are in, and your loops are pretty much going the same way they've been going. Well, what do I have to say today? Yeah, well, let's go into a topic that I'm very fond of. Yeah. So in 2019, I wrote a book called The Money Tree. And in that book, I wanted to discover the true meaning of money and how did money got introduced to humanity, at what point that thing was introduced. And that took me through a nice ride. Well, to begin with, I decided to write that book because my mother used to, when I was young, and I used to ask her for, can you give me some change, some money? I need to do this or go out or whatever. And she would say to me, yelling, of course, and she would say to me, "Oh, do you think that money grows on trees?" Oh, what a lovely ride we went since back then. Well, I know that after I did a research to write this book, I called my mom and I said, "You know that you've been wrong all along?" And she was like, "What are you talking about this time?" And I'm like, "Remember when you used to say to me that money doesn't grow on trees?" And she was like, "Yeah, I still say that." And I'm like, "Well, you're wrong." And she was like, "Why? What is it with you and all that focus on what I say?" And I'm like, "Because I need to correct you, because money do grow on trees." And she was like, "What you on about?" "Well, isn't money paper?" And she stopped for a minute, and I could clearly hear her thoughts going and crashing with each other. And she was like, "What do you mean?" "Well, doesn't it paper come from trees?" And she was like, "You didn't get the point yet." And I'm like, "No, you are the one who didn't get the point since back then. Because what you have is a piece of paper with marks on it, and you people keep going and fighting and getting attached to that piece of paper without even realizing what that is. You see, one of my questions was, why do some people achieve success and financial freedom while others spend their entire lives struggling with money? So this was my starting point, you see. Um, some of you may think that the first group was born in a golden cradle or won the lottery. Um, Others may think that it's just a matter of luck. But my guess, however, is that what separates these two groups, it's indeed financial education. And let me show you why this financial education is so important. Not only changing mindsets and adopting good financial habits and regularly investing, yeah, but also increasing productivity, and using marketing techniques and entrepreneurship lessons. This is what is being sold to you right now, with all these YouTubers wanting to show you, oh, this is the latest technique. Oh, if you pay me X, I will teach you Z. And I've always been a little bit cringed when I was seeing, and I still see a lot of people doing that. They fill entire arenas to talk jibber jabber all day long, but they don't go to the source, to the foundation of the thing. And for me, the way I understand and the way my brain decodifies or codifies something, a matter, a subject, is I need to understand when did that was introduced to us. Maybe because I am a Star Trek kind of girl, you see, and I've always seen, and I've always wondered what life would be like in the Star Trek episodes where they don't have money. They don't have it. They trade other things. But that piece of paper is non-existent. And as a matter of fact, there is a episode that talks about that. When humans on Earth lost the that thing, that attachment to that piece of paper. But the thing is, when you see all of these people, they will make you stay continuously learning and developing new skills, and they will guarantee you for sure that those like paying those people and learning those things, that will greatly increase your chances of achieving lasting success in your lives. It might be because now I understand that there is a mind shift happening, and it might be because you are so laser focused on developing yourself, and because you have a goal and you want to achieve something, and you again, you see, it's all about you. It's not them. It's not that they are giving you something. You are the product. Always, you are the product. Unless you trust yourself and you do your own research. I mean, nowadays, guys, we have internet and everything is for free. If you really search it, you have it for free. You have ChatGPT, you have AI Google, you have all of these sources that can give you the same jibber jabber yeah. So these people promise to help you out. Yeah. But I decided that it would be interesting to talk about creation of money. I want to know when, where, and how did that started. I want to know the origin and how we got to where we are today. A money-based civilization. This is what I want to know. And that's why the reason why I wrote that book. Of course, I've read many books on the subject. That was one of the things, and those books, in a way, changed my life. Well, it wasn't the books; it was me, because I made certain associations, and I broke down certain things that were implemented by my family, and I broke them down, and I did all of that. It's not like the book is going to do something for you, unless it again, it will help you to break down uh, those or create that paradigm shift. You see, some of those books left me with some questions, most of them. And none of those books gave me the answers that I needed to clarify my doubts. So that's one of the main reasons as well that I decided to write my own book about money. And I decided that because the purpose was to leave something valuable behind to my children. So that was my motivation at the time. Something that can make their lives easier if they care to read, and understand the true origin of everything, of everything. You see, some of the books that opened my mind, among them, there was certainly one book, which is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lester. And I can say that it is one of the greatest classics in the financial education literature. I can't say that I didn't learn nothing, because in fact I did. And that book was so important that when I had my business, I decided to apply some of those techniques the way I was teaching the people that were working with me at the time. So it's not like the book is not giving you something. It is giving you something, but it wasn't what I was in search for, you see. So this was one of the first books I've read that spoke clearly about financial independence and show me the way for me to stop being an employee and to I moved only for the B section. I only later on I understood the I section. So yeah, it was interesting to see that all of this rules of the game, if you don't know, again, like I said, and like the affidavit shows you, is that if you don't know the rules of the game, don't play it. Is that simple. And the four quadrant in that book is really, it's really a mindset changing, and I've seen that, and I understood that concept at the time. Um, Another great book. Oh, and another thing, I at that point when I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I understand the what was a liability and what was an asset. So that is still very present to me today. So it is something that I will always have a clear understanding what is an asset and what is a liability. And most of the times I, I, I see myself transforming everything in an asset, because it it really changed the way I've viewed things back in the day. Another great book for me was the Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, written by T. Harv Eker, which I consider it to be one of the greatest classics of the enrichment mindset. And in this book, I what gave me the what gave me the sensation was that Ecker is making comparisons between a poverty-focused mind and a wealth-focused mind, and by presenting the main mindset changes that you need to put into practice if you want to think like a rich person. And it really does the job. So it's like you start to again look at things differently, and your mind receives that shift and starts to understand that, okay, yeah, if I have this thought process which comes from lack, it's exactly what I'm gonna experience. But if I change my thought pattern and into applying my my knowledge and create myself anew, so it's exactly what you're gonna get as well. And from the book The Millionaire Lives by Thomas Stanley and William Danko. Um, what I've learned, the main common habits of the millionaires of first generation who built wealth on their own and not by inheritance. So that was another good um, thing, because I was thinking to myself, okay, I really get this, I understand this, and everything is okay, everything is fine, you know. And I thought that, okay, this books could become a real source of inspiration if you want to start investing more in yourself. But I always finish the books with a sense of none of them gave me the beginning, the real beginning, the origin of money. None of them. They all speak very nicely. Everything is well written. Yeah, it's very empowering and powerful and whatever. You know, all of those books are quite good in doing that. But every time I closed the book and I was like, yeah, okay, everything is fine. Yeah, I can see this, I can see that. But my question is not answered, guys. None of them answered my questions. And I've read a lot more books, you know, and like Think and Grow Rich. That one I made. That one I've read it, and I remember I have it still there on my shelf, and it's full of post-its, you see, with marks and things and all of that. But yeah, again, the answer that I need, I don't have it. Okay, so in my book, The Tree of Money, I wanted to get away from this motivational ideas or advice on how to become something. You see, that blah blah hocus pocus that many of these books describe. But I wanted to leave a true idea of what really goes on over the years. Where did the first exchange system existed? This is where I wanted to go with my book, and I think I did an amazing job, to be honest. Not to crap, but I got my answers, and I went and I had to do the job. I had to go after my answers because no one was giving them to me. So um, I I um, I hope it will serve um, it will serve the future generations if they ever encounter my book. And I hope I did a good job. So I will read you a little bit of my book today, and let's see what you guys think. Okay, so the introduction. We do not need an exchange token to do our day-to-day work. This makes our life easier based on our current model of civilization. We build an empire that depends heavily on currency. It doesn't have to be that way anymore. If we wanted to, we could end world hunger. Everyone could have food, houses, clothes, and all the basic necessities. No one would have to want anything, and everyone could work on what they want to work on. And I will give you an example. Let's see Mr. Elon Musk, for example. The guy is what? 1.9 billion trillion? Yeah, he, some say he has that amount. Okay, fascinating, amazing. Why don't you give 1 million to the 8 million on planet Earth? you still have plenty, you're still left with plenty, but no, people want more and more of this paper. But is it the paper really? Is it the paper really that people want? Let's go and read a little bit more. We could do all this today, but what is stopping us now is that we are stuck with the concept of money. There are people who have spent their lives looking for this, and they don't want it to end now that they are rich. Everyone tries to understand their wealth and their relationship with the currency. Look at the words currency, currency. It makes them sacrifice their lives, wasting time doing things they don't like. We could be exploring new worlds and galaxies if the construct so wishes. We could experience the universe in a way that expanded our understanding inside of the construct. This is not written in the book, I'm just paraphrasing this one. Only then will we stop this stupid concept of money, a concept that makes the vast majority miserable, wasting our time doing things we don't want to do, things we don't need to do to improve humanity's position in the universe. The money itself is nothing. It may be a shell, a metal coin, or a piece of paper with a historical image, but the value people place on it has nothing to do with the physical value of money. Money derives its value by being a means of exchange, a unit of measure, and a deposit of wealth. In Baron David's words, faith and belief. Money allows people to trade goods and services indirectly, but does it? Understand the price of goods and give us a way to save for larger purchases in the future. Interesting, isn't it? So money is valuable only because everyone knows that everyone else will accept it as a form of payment. So in this book, I want you to understand how money has evolved and how it is used today. In writing on the subject, I found several authors who wrote about the origin of money. But in some of them, I always see a certain embellishment of the subject. And this is not my idea. I don't want to embellishment or on anything. I want it to be as easy as possible and easy to understand so that the future generations can realize that money has certain roots that once understood, we will no longer be slaves to something that has no power, except the power we designate. Chapter 1. The history and origins of money. Wherever you go, money speaks. And it's been doing this for a long time. Unfortunately, however, money has been muted about its origins. For such a central element of our lives, the ancient roots of money and the reasons for its invention are unclear. Just as cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, etc., multiply into a bunch of digital appearances, researchers are still fighting over how and where the money came to be. And some draw fascinating parallels among the latest, the buzzworthy cryptocurrencies. Do you see a pattern here? Which require only a virtual wallet, a kind of money developed by a Micronesian island community that wouldn't fit in anyone's wallet, pocket, or purse. When it comes to the origins of money, however, the conflict reigns. Economists have maintained a view of the origins of money for hundreds of years, but an increasing number of anthropologists and archaeologists maintain a revisionist view, claim that the standard history of economists is bankrupt. Economists and revisionists agree that an object defined as money works in four ways. First, it serves as a means of exchanging goods and services. Currency allows the payment of debts. I have to really laugh on this one because isn't it all a debt system society we are living in? So reading this from the knowledge that I have acquired now, it's kind of funny, but it is very um, on the point. It represents a general measure of value, making it possible to price all types of items. And it isn't just items. And finally, money can be stored as a wealth reserve. A wealth reserve that you were born with, with nothing and you will go without any of the things that you are building here. But okay, that is just my view. Never mind. Let's move along. From there, the two groups separated. Traditional economists assume that the exchange of goods and services inspired the invention of money. Anthropologists and archaeologists, they claim that the early states invented currency as a means of paying off debt. It's a big, big, big claim, and I cannot lie, right? So, these two groups, they have their own different ways. Both of them, I find it hilarious, but let's move on. Much academic work presupposes that monetary systems have emerged in nation states over the past 200 to 400 years. And this was said by the social culture anthropologist Daniel Solers of the Copenhagen Business School in Frederiksberg. I love this town. Frederiksberg. If I didn't know what I know now, I would be laughing. Oh my God, this Frederiksberg. Well, I'm not gonna. I like to digress, but I'm not gonna do it. One day, maybe I will tell you the story that I found about the Frederick um, family. It's amazing one. It's an amazing one. Okay, but move along. But financial transactions and debt appear in many much older places in the past. Recent research from the Americas adds new questions to the debate. These investigations suggest that money appeared independently for different reasons and took different tangible forms in many parts of the world beginning thousands of years ago. Since the publication of Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations in 1776, a consensus among the economist states and the self-interest business decisions automatically balance supply and demand with little or no need for government involvement. A natural human tendency to exchange one product for another, say pottery, potatoes, led to the invention of money in former Euro-Asian states, economists maintain. This worn-out story gets the wrong money, say anthropologists and archaeologists. Adam Smith based his creation myth on financial systems in ignorance of what really happened in the past, says archaeologist Robert Rosenwig of the University of Albany in New York. Early governments created money to pay off public works debts and collect taxes. Rosenwig says the exchange had nothing to do with it. Instead, money was born from older credit and debt systems that anthropologists have documented for over a century. In small-scale societies, that refer to obligations to others. Among hunter-gatherer and farmer groups, for example, marrying daughters create debts that are partially paid for with goods known as wedding clothes. Full reimbursement requires the receipt of the first bride to provide a bride in return, so no money needed. The revisionists argue that the transition to a new form of cash-friendly debt began at least 5,500 years in the agricultural states of Mesopotamia and Egypt. You see, so far they are all fighting. No one is, everyone is saying, where did this and this? Oh, no, this and this and this. And what I love the most is that this form of cash friendly debt. Uh, Cash friendly debt? What the hell is going on, right? In Mesopotamia, Egypt. So in continue, please. Move forward. In Mesopotamia, the silver shekel, a piece of metal, not a coin, it wasn't a coin, was basic monetary measure. The rulers decreed that the weight of a silver shekel was equivalent to a bushel of barley. The shekels of silver. There is a group that loves the shekels. Not the silver one, all types of shekels. Oh my God, I just love this. Shekels of silver, gold, and other metals were used in other ancient societies. Precise shekel weights appear to have varied and are difficult to define. I wonder why. Farmers were taxed to support real lifestyles and public works. It's 2024. Are we seeing a pattern here? I'm going to read this one again, so in case you didn't hear me properly. Farmers were taxed to support real lifestyles and public works. What farmers and other commoners could not afford on property was recorded as debt in shekels. Merchants and traders bought property from temple and palace officials on credit. Merchants and traders bought property from temple and palace officials on credit. Mesopotamian era traders traveling through Eurasia may have used pieces of silver measured in roughly standardized shekels to pay for some transactions. But whether these pieces of silver can settle debts is unknown. Unknown, guys. It is unknown. No one knows. So you can find coins stamped with animal images or rulers ensuring the value of the metal. And they first appeared in the kingdom of Lydia in what is now Turkey. And they go back roughly 2,600 years ago. Soon after, cities and the states of Greece, Persia, India, and China, they began attacking their own currencies. From the beginning, the coins financed armies and wars of conquest. In the process, currencies became a legal currency for all types of transactions. Markets were the result of this system, not its cause. This is an argument that the revisionists go for. David Graeber, an anthropologist at the London School of Economics and Political Science, presented this alternative view in his 2011 book. And the name of that book is Debt, the First 5,000 Years. Go ahead and have a look. Graeber relied mainly on the evidence from African, Asian, and European societies. But his book has inspired a growing line of research into the dark origins of money in the Americas. Many of these researchers gathered to discuss their findings in April in Washington, D.C., at the annual meeting of the Society for American Archaeology. Go and have a look. Some see Graeber's focus on that as vital to understanding when and how the ancient Mayans and surrounding societies turned commodities such as cocoa beans and woven cotton into coins. But exchange cannot be dismissed as a precursor to prehashable payments in the same societies. For now, there are more questions than answers, right? I hope you are feeling the same. Debt played a huge role in ancient Central America and Mexico, but it's not clear how the coins emerged there, says anthropological archaeologist Joan Barron of Bard High School in Newark. In the 1500s, the Spanish wrote about observing a thriving system of markets and societies stretching from Mexico to Central America, including the Aztecs and the Maya. Spanish chronicles described coins, most prominently cocoa beans and cloth, which were widely used to buy goods, pay taxes and debts, and calculate monetary values and store household wealth. And as a tax tribute or tax collection, the list included jade beads, bird feathers, cocoa, and jaguar skins. About 600 years ago, Aztec rulers may have purchased large quantities of cocoa and cotton fabrics from this region to use as coins. Oh, yeah. So, researchers have long suspected that Mayan markets and traders, as well as various goods used as coins, emerged around 1100 after the fall of kings and city-states of classical Mayan civilization. Evidence now suggests, however, that such perishable forms of money appeared even earlier during the classic Maya heyday of 250 to 900. The conversion of several items into legal currency has taken place in ancient America, not just Europe. And this was said by Catherine Thumpek, an anthropological archaeologist at Illinois State University. Considered a collection of mined 7th century murals discovered about a decade ago in a small pyramid in Calmuc, Mexico. These scenes illustrate market exchanges in a powerful classic Maya center that controls a number of satellite sites. Calmuc's painted pyramid stood in the middle of an open area that includes a large market, archaeologists suspect. Murals on the walls of the pyramid depict people from different social classes, such as indicated by their clothing and jewelry, apparently trading tamales, tobacco, and ceramics. Several painted scenes show fabrics of various sizes and colors displayed for exchange. A painting depicts a woman wearing the simple clothes of a villager, offering what is probably a mug of hot chocolate for a man in exchange for tamale pasta. In the following decades, while Mayan rulers demanded cocoa and textiles as tax payments, a kind of tax collection from the subjects, the two products became currencies with standard values, and this was argued by Barron at the archaeology meeting. Among the classic Mayans, however, bargaining may have been a direct precursor to cocoa and cloth coins. So this was proposed by Barron in the March Journal of Anthropological Archaeology. In an analysis of archaeology evidence and reports by the Spanish officials, she concludes that people from all walks of life traded fine fabrics in Calakmul markets before kings began collecting fabric tributes. In Tikal, Calakmul's rival center specialized weaving tools that was found in households of all walks of life. And that indicated that the high-end segment began decades or more before the state building markets and collected clothing that honored So this was said by Baron. All at the same time, there was an increased demand among the Mayan elite for cocoa as a tribute, and has influenced the emergence of monetary values calculated by cocoa beans and counting. What has started as a trading items may have become a currency for the classic Maya. The monetary systems probably developed in some populations in southern Mexico and Central America centuries before the emerge of the classical Maya civilization proposed by Rosewing in Alabama at the proposed by Rosenwig of Albany at the April meeting. But identifying the birthplace of money in this part of the world is especially tricky, as coins like cocoa and textiles are often not preserved in ancient places. Rosewing looks at the main evidence of pottery and murals, as well as the remains of grand palace buildings, public works, and written war accounts. Centralized governments and their need to tax subjects and convert valuable goods in currencies to pay for wars and expensive construction set the stage for the Mayan monetary system, he says. These types of governmental activities can be documented at archaeological sites. So the Mayan money of the classical era grew on trees, where conditions permitted. Cocoa trees flourished in Tabasco and other places with wet river valleys, heavy rainfall, and protection from the sun and wind. Mayan rulers in Calkmut and Tikal collected annual tributes on cocoa beans. The trees again. Consider Izapa one of the network of Pacific Coast states in the southern Mexico, Guatemala, and El Salvador that stood out approximately 2,800 to 2,100 years ago. Izapa was situated in a region that contained cocoa, cotton, and other resources. Rulers apparently commissioned the construction of temples and other large structures, carved monuments show kings committing murders, rituals to justify their rule. The Zappa kings and surrounding locals demanded large amounts of cocoa, cotton, and two other items that the Mayan classics may later have used as coin as tribute: spondylis shells and salt. The city-states of ancient Mesoamerica, Central Mexico, and much of Central America appear to have created their own monetary systems at the same time as Europeans and Asians began making coins, says anthropological archaeologist Stephen Kalowski of the University of Georgia in Athens. Kulowski conducted a review of what is known about the size of the state, the political organization, and the markets where goods were exchanged in ancient Greece and Mesoamerica. As a growing number of Mayan researchers now believe, all the New World societies have independently created their own currency and currency systems, he says. Mayan inscriptions of the classical era, for example, indicate that war captives could be given to kings as tribute. Some captives were rescued by cocoa and other items considered valuable to Mayan royalty, including the pointed spondylus shells. In central Mexico, Nahua society, part of the Aztec Empire about 500 years ago, farming families sometimes sold their children as slaves to the rich during hard times. Even when their fortunes improved, Navajo farmers often failed to acquire enough money to buy their children's back. But slavery was a secondary operation for Mesoamerican rulers, says Kalowski. In taking all of this idea, where did money came from and how we got here, it's very interesting because we can see that it's not just us now dealing with this idea that the world is new to money. No, it isn't. It's something that has been interesting in our way of doing things and dealing with this piece of paper called money. In my research about how money was came about, I understood that there was some part of the ancient world where people were changing things. You know, they were changing other things, and it wasn't all about the money. So there were other things that people were giving their value, and it wasn't, as you can see, it was more about the cocoa beans, or the cloth, or shells, or other type of things. But it wasn't about the money, because in the ancient world, money spoke in some places and never said a word in others. And to understand all this, I ask you to consider the following examples. So, James can build fences, but he has no eggs. And Joseph needs a fence to hold his chickens. They meet, and James agrees to build a fence for Joseph in exchange for several dozens of eggs. This is a barter trade, the very basic building block of the free economy. The same example, but now Joseph's chickens are not at the moment, and James accepts a note from Joseph promising him eggs. Since the latter accepted in exchange for fixing the fence. So this note is a proxy instead of the eggs. So if James changes the note to, let's say, Santiago, then Santiago can pick up the eggs in exchange for fixing James' stove, so he can fry the eggs. And then Joseph honors him with Santiago. So this note became a trade proxy in the absence of the real thing. This note is a basic voluntary contract, and the banknote is also a currency, as all three people accept it as having value in the business. The bottom line is that anything can be used as a barter proxy as long as the parties to the barter agree that it has appropriate value. This all includes personal property and one's work. This is why when two parties agree to exchange labor for barter, in other words, money, it is an agreed exchange of equal value. But we can't stop here because we all know how this service exchange for money works, or even the payment for the time and effort of each job, good or service. My question, however, goes beyond this idea that was sold to us. Surely my answers are lost in the minds of so many other people of my generation who came to the same conclusion. We can no longer accept what our parents told us, that money doesn't grow on trees or that we have to work hard to get it. Our small portion, surely these days will be unthinkable for parents to say such outrageous to their children as we are in the information age. Our royal riches are our time and independence. Money is just an instrument to buy your time, and this is a fact. It is a box for maintaining your financial power until you are prepared and comfortable enough to redistribute or use it. But the whole world has been alienated from real money and has been driven to use a currency, a rogue fraud that is quietly depriving you of your two most important assets. We are entering, or rather, we are already in an era of economic catastrophe that is the most extreme the world has ever seen. And this is not by chance, this is by design. It's orchestrated to be that way. The turnout that will happen this decade will be the largest in history because it has to be. If you start going back and you start seeing the patterns, and if you start to see how all of this happens and chronologically at the same points in time, you won't be surprised anymore. In fact, wealth is never lost. Never. It is only misplaced. And that means that on the other side of every disaster, there is a moment of opportunity. The good news is that all you have to do to change this crisis in your favor is to educate yourselves. The biggest investment you can make in your life is your own improvement and education. Education about the history of money, education about the history of finance, education about the currency, and how the global economic works. You will start to see that this is not by chance. If you educate yourself about the central bank and the stock market and how can they defraud you and how can they deceive you, If you find out what's going on and find out how the economic worlds work, you can put yourself on the appropriate side of this wealth reallocation. And this is very on point to mention a gentleman, Winston Churchill, and he said at one time, the more you look to the past, the more you can see the future. Oh my God. How clever this Churchill was. The way the financial system operates is not fully hidden. It's visible, but it's complicated and people just don't and can't see how it works. It's very difficult for them to assume that we are involved in such fraud. Besides, some of the things must be hidden, but the truth is slowly coming out.